Hello and welcome to Unibet's Inside the Octagon. I'm John Gooden alongside the Outlaw Dan Hardy, and we're ready to preview UFC 181. It's the final pay-per-view event of 2014 with 2 belts on the line, and the headline act is an explosive rematch between the champion Johny Hendricks and ruthless Robbie Lawler. A much-anticipated rematch in Las Vegas for welterweight gold, Dan. We also have the lightweight title fight, plus a very significant heavyweight bout.
Yeah, it's going to be great to see Travis Brown taking on Brendan Schaub. Both guys looking to get back in contention after dropping the last fight. Anthony Pettis, Gilbert Melendez is one of the most exciting fights of the year, and my most exciting fight of the year is the rematch between Hendricks and Lawler. I can't wait for that fight. Well,
let's get straight into it. Grab your fight tablet, Mr. Hardy.
OK.
And Johny Hendricks, an elite wrestler, really decorated background, but we've seen him in the UFC knocking people out.
Yeah. We've seen him consistently with landing that straight left hand that he lands that basically sends his opponent stiff to the canvas. He's a huge puncher. In this fight against TJ Wahlberger, he caught him real clean on the chin with 2 good shots. Once there, pulled his head back into play and then cracked it one more time. Really nice placement on that left hand. We're going to see it again against Fitch as well. 12-second knockout over one of the best in the world at the time. I mean, that's a really big win for him. And then here against Kampmann, I did want to point out this. Just watch as he steps forward. Watch the placement of this back foot and how much distance he covers, because this is relevant going into the Lawler fight, because Lawler doesn't give him that kind of space. And that, for me, is one of the keys to victory for Lawler, is to make sure he doesn't have that space to gather that momentum to land that big left hand. The other thing we also got to bear in mind is that Lawler is southpaw, which does cause some problems for him, because most of the success with the left hand has been against orthodox fighters. OK, well, last time on Inside the Octagon, we asked you guys for your questions from Twitter. So I have one just here. Thank you to the agent. And Dan, he asks, what does Robbie Lawler do differently this time around to come out on top? Well, the truth is he doesn't really need to do a great deal differently. He just needs to do more of what he was doing in the 3rd and 4th round. For my money, he won those 2 rounds. He had good pressure with the boxing, and he really put Hendricks on the back foot, which showed a weakness in his game for me. And, you know, Hendricks really is known for his wrestling, but if he doesn't have that space to gather that momentum for the left hand, he doesn't seem to cause a great deal of problems for Robbie Lawler with it. So Lawler needs to continue pressing, needs to keep his work rate high and stay in Hendricks' face, so he's crowding him and constantly landing these nice picking shots. This a beautifully placed jab, really well-established jab in the 1st round, and he needs to carry this on throughout the fight, because then it starts to set up that left hand over the top. And that is typical of this fight. As you can see here, Hendricks landing a series of shots, Robbie Lawler with a big smile on his face, and throws the one big shot to finish the round. And he landed a couple of quality left hooks as well. And this is a problem with what Hendricks is doing with his left hand. As he's throwing that, Lawler was able to slip inside of it and throw this beautifully placed left hook that comes up at like a 45-degree angle, catches Hendricks right on the chin. And to Hendricks' credit, I don't know many welterweights that could take that. Now, this is my favourite punch of the fight. A beautifully placed uppercut. He actually uses the same hand to parry the punch and come up on the inside. Very difficult punch to land, but this is, again, you know, he lands one good shot, Hendricks comes back with 5 or 6. So Robbie needs to come in and be more consistent in this fight. He needs to be more on point with his conditioning. Again, his takedown defense was great in the 1st fight, but he needs to be able to keep this pace up. He needs to be able to continuously keep Hendricks on the back foot and just keep pressuring him so Hendricks can't settle into his game plan. And what a chin Hendricks has got. But he came to the fight using, as you said there, a real variety of strikes. Yeah, and that was really where his advantage was. He didn't win the boxing range with Lawler. He landed some good punches, yes, but the key for Hendricks at range is the low kicks. He does a great job of mixing the low kicks up after a punch combination. He'll move forward with a flurry and chop in with a low kick. Like a full stop on each combination. Exactly. And the thing here, now, he lands a whole bunch of punches, but they're all on the guard of Robbie Lawler. It's the low kicks that he's landing cleanly. And Lawler only checked the low kicks when he didn't throw them with punches at the start. So as long as he can disguise them with a combination and he can keep chopping that leg, that's really going to take some movement away from Robbie Lawler. Very, very important to keep that up.
OK, well, back to Twitter. And Lewis Morgan tweeted in, Hendricks says that he was injured in the first fight. Does he do anything differently now that he's 100% healthy?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how much effect that... I think it was a torn bicep, if I'm right. So now, with Hendricks obviously being a wrestler, he's going to be needing that bicep a lot. And if he couldn't use it in the first fight, it could have potentially swayed his game plan to be much more boxing heavy, which does play into Lawler's game plan. So having this fight, you know, at 100% with no torn bicep, having had surgery on it, I think we're going to see more of a wrestling-orientated game plan from him, where he can keep his hands on Lawler, keep dragging his head down and using dirty boxing, which may have been quite uncomfortable for him in that first bout with the torn bicep.
You're referring to dirty boxing, obviously, from the clinch.
Yeah.
Interesting, looking at some of the stats. 73% of Hendricks' takedowns are from the clinch. 30% of his significant strikes come in the clinch, and that's of his UFC career. So he really loves that close-range kind of fighting. Yeah,
I would like to see him in that range a lot more against Lawler. He doesn't want to get drawn into a boxing match with Lawler. If it's at distance and he low kicks, and if it's close up, he can just keep Lawler on the back foot by pressuring him with takedowns. And Lawler displayed great takedown defence. It wasn't until the fourth round that Hendricks managed to finish a takedown. But whilever Lawler's defending a takedown, he's not attacking. He's not punching Hendricks in the face. And this, again, like we've circled it here, the dirty boxing of Hendricks, keeping a hand on Lawler so he can hit him, because a lot of the time when he was throwing punches, he was missing. Lawler's got great head movement, good boxing defence. So if he can get a hand on him and weigh on his head and land some shots in the clinch... He
knows where he's at.
And this was great as well. A fake shot. Look at the reaction it gets out of Lawler. Even if he's not shooting for the takedown and scoring the takedown and taking the fight to the mat, at least he can keep Lawler on the back foot, keep him guessing and keep him hesitant. He doesn't want to be walked down against Lawler, and this is exactly where he needs to be. Heavy on his head, making Lawler work, making Lawler carry his weight. Because if he can take some of the sting out of his punches, the later rounds are going to be much safer for him as well. OK, well, if you look at the judges' scorecards, and, you know, from when you and I watched it, it really was in the balance until the fifth round, and that's when Hendricks just kind of put the exclamation point on there. Yeah, and you could see it on Lawler's face as well. He knew that round was slipping away from him, and he does have the habit of being lazy sometimes. He lands great shots, but if he doesn't put the guy away, he does tend to take his foot off the gas a little bit. And as you can see here, he's giving Hendricks the space to land that straight left that does damage. Now, it wasn't all of the space that he needed to land a real clean shot, but it still hurt Lawler. It still put Lawler on the back foot, backed him up against the fence and got that takedown. And this is where the fight finished. It was a razor-thin decision. And, you know, had Lawler put a bit more work in that last round, he could have walked away with the gold. Yeah, OK. Well, let's take a look at the fight metrics for that last fight. Some really interesting stuff for us to analyse. And the significant strikes landed in a UFC title fight. We see both Johny Hendricks and Robbie Lawler cracking that top five. Dan, they're welterweights. You see there TJ Dillashaw in his last fight. He's at number 3. Welterweight guys, both in the top 5. That kind of volume is incredible. It is, and we need to see that more from both guys. Hendricks, I would like to see him land more strikes in the clinch. Lawler, I like his boxing range, but to be able to be matching TJ Dillashaw on striking volume is outstanding. Yeah, well, it's your weight, Dan, and this is a hell of a fight. And looking at those stats, this is just absolutely incredible. I mean, what's not to like? Yeah, it's a razor-thin fight. It could go either way. It's difficult to pick a winner on this one, but they've both got a huge shot of walking away with that title at the end of it. OK, so there you have it. That's the inside track on the world's top 2 welterweights. Now you can head over to unibet.com for a comprehensive package of pre-fights and live odds ahead of Hendricks versus Lawler. Who have you got for this one? What will be the method of victory? Hendricks is the hard-hitting wrestler who's only been beaten twice. Or can Robbie show his ruthless streak and claim his 20th knockout victory? As always, there are odds to be found on every round, and it's all brought to you by Unibet. Watch and bet live with Unibet, the official UFC betting partner. That was the welterweights, but also there's the lightweight title on the line in Las Vegas as Anthony Pettis defends his belt against the #1 challenger, Gilbert Melendez.
It's time!
incredible event, Dan, when you've got 2 title fights. So, Anthony Pettis versus Gilbert Melendez. Your take?
It's a difficult one. I'm going to try and keep it short. We know that Pettis is dangerous. He's got 3 finishes in his last few fights. He looked great in his title fight against Ben Henderson. But Melendez is a tough, gritty fighter. He's going to pressure forward, and he's got a lot of unorthodox techniques. He likes to create chaos. He likes to flurry at his opponent. And another thing that's interesting that we're going to take a look at in a second is he loves catching kicks. And we know Pettis for knocking out Joe Lozon and Cowboy Cerrone with a head kick and a body kick successively. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see whether Melendez risks catching a kick against Pettis, or whether he just abandons it and tries to block and box. Just watch here. Watch this beautiful fake. He throws his jab and a right hand fake to pull the rear hand of Lozon away to create that opening. It's a perfectly placed technique, and it's interesting because he is a Taekwondo black belt, but the position in which he's landing on the shin is much more like a Thai boxer. It does a lot more damage. It's much more of a heavy kick. And as you can see here in the Cerrone fight, he lands a good body kick. We're going to see him land it a couple more times, and he's actually going to finish the fight with it. Talking of unpredictability, though, look at that.
He's so dynamic.
Yeah, a jump knee, and there's the kick that finishes it. It's a beautifully placed kick. We're going to see it again in slow motion, and I'm just going to pick that out. Look at that shin right into the midsection. That's put Cerrone in all kinds of trouble. He knows what's going on. He knows he can't continue the fight, and he goes down onto his knees for the referee to stop it. He's a very, very dangerous kicker, but like I was saying, Melendez likes to catch a kick. And when he catches a kick, he likes to create chaos from it. He likes to charge at his opponent, throw in all kinds of crazy stuff. As we saw in the Sanchez fight, this is a great example. Catches the leg, elevates it, and as he's running forward, he's going to catch him with a beautiful forearm, which opens up a really bad cut on Sanchez. Now, this is relevant because for Melendez, he does have a high work rate. He picks his shots really well. His right hand is placed perfectly in this particular trade, and we're going to see it in a second. I'm going to pick it out for you. Watch this, right on the chin. Look at that. Puts Sanchez down for a second before he pops straight back to his feet. The thing for Melendez is he's got great boxing and he's got great takedown defense. They're his mainstays. He doesn't allow people to step in. He likes to counter as they're moving forward. But for me, the game-changing strikes are the ones that, when he's creating this chaos, when he's caught a kick, when he's running at his opponent, he's going to catch him with a crazy elbow or a flying knee or whatever. We know he can do this all day. He's got a very Oscar De La Hoya style. He likes to really dig his punches. This right hand, he's very confident in the placement of it. As you can see here, look at that. Beautifully placed, and gets his head out of the way. And against Henderson here, we're going to see him catching kicks again. And as soon as he catches it, he rushes his opponent, elevates, and throws crazy techniques. He's quite unpredictable, and this is going to be interesting to see whether Pettis can keep that range and work those kicks, or whether he's going to have to rely on perhaps some of his wrestling, some of his clinch work. And also worth noting that he does catch both sides as well.
Right.
This is not something that he has a habit of one side. No, he'll catch body kicks both sides. He'll even catch leg kicks. Now, it can be risky against a guy like Pettis, who can set him up for that. We'll see a guy throw to the body 3 or 4 times and then fake and go to the head. Yeah. So it is a risky strategy. As you can see here, he thunders in these body kicks to Ben Henderson, and you can see him wins. You can see that
insulting 3 times over.
Yeah, 4 in fact in that row. But as you can see here, Henderson decided he didn't want any more of that. He got the fight to the ground after a failed cartwheel kick and walked straight into this beautiful armbar in the first round.
So quick in the way that he snapped that on.
Just fantastic movement of his hips, able to control the arm that was around the back of his head, keep an overhook on that, and just rock his hips out to the side and throw the leg over the face. It was a beautiful technique.
So it shows jiu-jitsu black belt as well.
There you go. It shows he's dangerous on his back as well as standing. So how Melendez will approach this is very, very difficult to say. Pettis is obviously well-rounded in all areas. So for me, the champion is the man to beat right now, and Melendez has got the tools to do it, but whether he can do it on the night or not is a different thing.
OK, thank you, Dan. So it's time to pick your favourite as the lightweight title goes up for grabs. Will it be the champion, Showtime Pettis, a winner in 8 of his last 9 bouts and boasting a 10 wins by KO and 4 by submission? Or can Melendez upset the odds? His championship loss to Henderson snapped a 7-fight winning streak. All the odds can be found at unibet.com. Watch and bet live with Unibet, the official UFC betting partner. Now let me point you towards a fantastic new year, and what a January the UFC has in store for us. On January the 3rd, Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier will finally get it on for the light heavyweight title. 2 weeks later, on Sunday the 18th, Conor McGregor leads the Irish invasion of Boston, facing off with Germany's Dennis Siver. The following Saturday night, we're back in Stockholm for Alex Gustafsson's clash with Anthony Rumble Johnson. And then it's UFC 183 on the 31st and the long-awaited return of the best of all time, Anderson Silva against Nick Diaz. The time is now, Dan. What a January, and we're going to be previewing them all.
Yeah, Anderson Silva making his return, taking on Nick Diaz, two of my favourites. I've got goosebumps for that fight already.
Anderson Silva back in action. I cannot wait. But also, we see Europeans Conor McGregor and Alexander Gustafsson in action.
Yeah, Conor McGregor's taking on a very tough Dennis Siver. Can't sleep on this guy. He generates power in anything he throws. And then Alexander Gustafsson taking on an old friend of mine, Anthony Johnson.
Big old friend of yours.
Big friend of mine, yeah. That's going to be a great fight, and could see the emergence of a #1 contender for the Jones-Cormier fight at the start of January.
Yep, Jones-Cormier kicking things off for 2015. Thank you, Dan. We'll be back with an in-depth look at Jones-Cormier at UFC 182. And once again, you can tweet us at Unibet using the hashtag #InsideTheOctagon, and we'll choose the best ones on the show. Enjoy watching UFC 181. It's going to be a great night of fights, and history will be made. Thanks for your company, and goodbye for now.
This is just a dream matchup.
Both have one-punch knockout power. Lawler continuing to pour it on.
Hendricks coming back. This title fight is a big one. Johny Hendricks believes he's the chosen one.
Just like that!
Know that I'm the best and I'm coming for that title.
I'm Anthony Pettis, UFC lightweight champ. I think I'm the uncrowned champ, and I'm coming for that belt.